Hi everyone, let's do the chanting immediately. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami, dhammam saranam gacchami, sangham saranam gacchami, dutiyambe buddham saranam gacchami, dutiyambe dhammam saranam gacchami, dutiyambe sangham saranam gacchami, tatiyambe buddham saranam gacchami, tatiyambe dhammam saranam gacchami, tatiyambe sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every type of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhe soha. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhe soha. Tayata gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhi soha. So now let's get ready for some meditation. Nice comfortable position for yourself, whatever suits you. Then gently close your eyes, lips gently touching, tongue resting on the upper palate in the mouth. Not too tight, not too loose, not too much, not too little. Walk the middle path. So bring your mind inside your body, and from the bottom to the top, we will release the tension. So let's take a few moments to do this now. Now scan your body once more to release whatever tension that you may have left over. And now bring your mind to the tip of your nose initially, and the feeling of the breath as we breathe in our nose, all the way into our lungs, then back out our nose again, is the object of the meditation. Breathing in, breathing out. All you have to do now is focus on your breath mentally. And then, of course, if your mind wanders from the breath, then replace it back onto the breath, utilizing the antidote. Physically, all you have to do is sit here and breathe. So if any thoughts arise or mental activity arises, don't cling to it or grasp at it or try to force it away or deny it, but simply and naturally let it go by replacing your mind back onto your breath. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then replace your mind back onto your breath more brightly. You can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths from 1 to 10. One breath, one in-breath and one out-breath is 1, and so on. But if you get distracted counting towards 10, go back to 1 at that time. So let's practice like this in silence for a little bit. So now you can feel pleased with yourself and fill yourself with universal loving kindness. Fill yourself with the white light or nectar. Fill your whole being with this loving kindness. Fill yourself with so much loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards, initially to our loved ones, family and friends, filling them with the universal loving kindness too. May they be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now also include strangers, those people you may know a little bit or not at all, that you have indifference towards. Fill them with the universal loving kindness as well. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now also include those you may regard as enemies. Fill them with the universal loving kindness as well. May they also be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now extend this loving kindness to all living beings, not just human beings now. All the beings in the animal realm, in the ghostly realm, the hungry ghost realm, the hell realms, the Asura realms, the heavenly realms, the desire heavens, formless heavens, and all the living beings that live in the waters, on the land, fly throughout the air, whether born from wounds, eggs, or moisture, or through transformation. Fill them with the universal loving kindness, initially all around your immediate area. May they be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. And now throughout your whole state or county, all the living beings now, whether you know about them or not. All living beings, whether weak or strong, great or small, short or tall, seen or unseen, near or distant, born or still to be born. May they all be happy, free from suffering, and be peaceful. Now extend this loving kindness, radiate it out throughout your whole country, throughout all of the states and counties throughout your whole country, everywhere. And throughout other countries, throughout the world. Those you have an affinity towards, those you're indifferent towards, and those that you have some sort of negative feelings towards. And also have your loving kindness pervade throughout all of the oceans and bodies of water, all the way down to the core of the earth and to the outermost atmosphere. And now beyond this planet alone, throughout the whole solar system. And all of the solar systems throughout the whole galaxy. And all of the galaxies throughout the universe. Until your loving kindness radiates throughout infinite space. This immeasurable loving kindness that is generated initially in your own heart now radiates throughout infinite space. This loving kindness that is not separate from compassion, that is based on equanimity and based on wisdom. Now also be present here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious body, Chitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious pure of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. Okay, so we'll continue doing what we've been doing now for, I think, about 6 months or more. That is, addressing the questions that came in last year and utilizing my book to do so and covering lots of different subjects. Okay, so they're kind of randomly picked a little bit, but not really. A little bit of sort of method to my madness as well. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the Four Noble Truths, the wisdoms of hearing, contemplating, absorbing the mind, or meditation, penetration, the Eightfold Path, or the Three Higher Trainings, in other words, and also the purpose, methods, and means. And also we will be covering during this teaching, this part of the book, just bear with me while I put my glasses on. Where did I write it here? So this teaching comes from the quote, "Every day is a good day, every moment is a good moment, a great opportunity to practice the Buddha Dharma and bring benefit to all sentient beings." And so we will cover things like this: to practice sincerely and wholeheartedly, the joyful practice, the precious human life, and everything is impermanent as well. So in other words, the four preliminary contemplations of the precious human life, impermanence, the law of karma or cause and effect, and the unsatisfactory nature of cyclic existence, which we will cover next week. Make the most of this rare and precious opportunity. Constantly remind ourselves of this fact, that we should do this. Don't waste our lives by being distracted by worldly things, superficial worldly concerns. Make our life truly meaningful and worthwhile, and follow in the footsteps of the previous great masters from the past. And like I said, also the three wisdoms and the purpose, methods, and means will be covered as well. So I will read to you the explanation. How are we doing for time? Heaps of time. If we sincerely and wholeheartedly practice Dharma, moment to moment, day to day, then every moment will be a joyful moment. Every day will be a joyful day. When we sincerely and wholeheartedly practice Dharma in this human life, our life becomes a precious human life, as we will be making the most of this rare and precious opportunity. We should constantly remind ourselves that we now possess a most valuable, priceless, and precious human birth. This will help us to maintain the inner strength, confidence, joy, and enthusiasm we need to take full advantage of this rare opportunity. We should be careful not to waste our lives by being distracted by superficial worldly concerns, so that we can emulate the great sages and masters of the past and truly believe with confidence that we can follow in their footsteps and make our lives truly meaningful and worthwhile. So first of all, I just pull these words out. Inner strength. We need this to practice. Confidence in ourselves, trust in ourselves, confidence and trust in the Buddha, the teacher, in the teachings. Also the joy in the practice, Dharma Pitti, Dharma joy. Yeah, we should be joyful when we practice. even if it's difficult sometimes. And sometimes we may have to force that joy. We may have to like persevere, so joyful perseverance, or persevering joy in a sense, okay? And also the enthusiasm that we need to take full advantage of this rare opportunity of having a precious human life, but also being in contact with the Dharma and then practicing the Dharma. It is very rare, very precious. And also always remind ourselves of this fact. So the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth, the noble truth of suffering. There's three types, you could say, of suffering. There's the suffering of suffering, dukkha dukkha. So everyday type of suffering. Then you have the suffering of impermanence. Things are always changing all of the time, constantly. Then the suffering of no self, or also known as the all-pervasive suffering, or pervading suffering. Okay, so also you can enumerate it as 8 sufferings and 84,000 eventually. You can actually enumerate it many different ways, but the easiest way and the shortest way is the 3 types of suffering. Once again, this relates to the marks of existence. So the suffering, there's the first mark of existence. Then the second mark is impermanence, that all phenomena are impermanent. And then the third one is no self. There is no self to be found anywhere. Okay, so that relates to conditioned phenomena. Okay, so the first noble truth is the noble truth of suffering. The second noble truth is the noble truth of the cause of suffering, which is tanha, which is attachment or desire based on ignorance. Okay, so the actual root cause is ignorance. So avijja, the lack of understanding or the lack of knowing. Okay, so there's 3 types of tanha. There is the attachment to sense pleasures. Then there is the attachment to existence. And then there is the attachment to non-existence. Okay, so basically these first 2, this is like the law of karma. The cause is the second noble truth. The effect is the life and the suffering that we experience during the life. Excuse me, stuttering there. But anyway, so the first noble truth is the effect of the cause. Then you have the third noble truth, which is the cessation of suffering, or the cessation of the cause of suffering, totally uprooting the cause of suffering, uprooting the ignorance that gives rise to this attachment and this aversion that arise from this ignorance. So ignorance is here, the root. Then you have duality arising, attachment to what we find pleasing or pleasurable, and what we find aversion to what we find painful, or we dislike, we don't want, like that. Okay, so this is the cessation of the cause of suffering. Also, we can call this nirvana or enlightenment. Okay, then the fourth noble truth is the noble truth of the Eightfold Path. So the path leading to the cessation of suffering. And so this is what to do in the Dharma practice. Everything can come under this Eightfold Path. All right, so very important that we do that we practice this Eightfold Path. And all of the other related teachings, such as practicing the 6 paramitas or developing these, accumulating them, the four immeasurables, etc., etc. So now the Eightfold Path can also be known as the 3 higher trainings. So the higher training in morality, the higher training in meditation or mental development, and the higher training in wisdom. The first 2 aspects of the Eightfold Path relate to the higher training in wisdom, and they are right understanding or view and right intentions or thoughts. Then you have the next 3 on the Eightfold Path relate to the higher training in morality or ethical conduct, and they are right speech, right action, and right livelihood. Then the next 3, the last 3, number 6, 7, and 8 of the Eightfold Path relate to the higher training in meditation or mental development. And they are the right effort, right mindfulness, and the right concentration. Okay, so the purpose of the practice, to mention purpose and methods and means now, the purpose of the practice is to realize the wisdom. Okay, so to realize right understanding and right intentions. And so right understanding is the antidote for ignorance, uproots ignorance. The right intention is the antidote for attachment and aversion. Totally destroys attachment and aversion. Having the right thoughts, having the right intention behind all of our living, behind all of our lives. Okay, so first of all, what I would like to do now is just for like half a minute or a minute, just close your eyes and absorb the teachings that you just heard. This is related now to hearing the teachings, so the wisdom of hearing, then also contemplating the teachings, which you probably have done already. So the first part of this minute, you will contemplate what has been said today, and then you will meditate, absorb your mind with this. So I'll let you know when it's like halfway through the minute. So for the first half, like I said, contemplate what it is you've just heard, and then meditate after that. Okay, so this is how to put the three wisdoms into practice, all right? And I just thought we'd do this today for a bit of fun. So contemplating. So after your contemplation, whatever it is that you understand, absorb your mind with this understanding, the wisdom of absorption or habituation or meditation. So then now let's take the time to absorb the mind with this. Just as before, when we focus on the breath, where you are mindful of the breath, aware of the breath, now you're aware or you're mindful of what it is you've understood. And absorb your mind with this. Okay, so this is how you put the three wisdoms into practice. In your everyday life, you should do this. Okay, so, and also realize, like I said before, the purpose, the methods to be put into practice or to be understood, then put into practice. The means is the practice. So this is why I wanted to do this today, bringing into play these three different aspects, okay? Purpose, methods, means. So the purpose is to attain enlightenment eventually. The means or the methods, the Eightfold Path right now. The means is you putting it into practice, not only outside of your cushion, but here and now on the cushion, and utilizing these three wisdoms to absorb your mind with the wisdom, with understanding. Okay, so now we will look at the three higher trainings of morality, like I've said before, relates to right speech, right action, and right livelihood. So right speech means to avoid lying, avoid divisive speech, in other words, slandering, to divide people, for instance, avoid harsh and abusive language, and avoid gossip, meaningless chatter. Instead, speak the truth, speak to unite, speak skillfully, and you could say sweetly, speak well, and speak with meaning. Remember, the only reason we talk is to communicate with others. Otherwise, it's just blah, 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 isn't it? Just speaking blah, 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 of what we already know ourselves or don't know ourselves. And I just kind of just speaking so that we don't have to know that we don't know, something like that, okay? So you use your speech really well. Then, of course, we have the right action to avoid killing, destroying any life, to avoid stealing or taking what is not freely given, and to avoid harmful sexual activity. or sexual misconduct. Or if it's your choice not to practice the sexual activity at all, then to maintain the sort of celibacy, you could say, okay? Then instead, save life, cherish the life, protect lives of others and yours and yourself. Be generous instead of stealing. Be giving whatever you can, giving good vibes even. And also, like I said, if you do engage with the sexual activity, do it with love and with care, really to share with your partner, your husband, your wife, or whatever, okay? So, and also be faithful to each other. Very important as well. Then you have the right livelihood to avoid livelihood that brings harm to living beings, that kills living beings or harms them in any way. Instead, engage in a livelihood that brings benefit to living beings, to yourself, to your family, to all the people around you, and to the world at large. So avoid things like, dealing drugs, for instance, selling alcohol if at all possible, even though that's legal. Avoid dealing in weapons and things like that, slavery, prostitution, things like that, okay? So avoid bringing animals up for slaughter, for instance, because they do suffer. They do have the feelings. Anyway, so that's the three that relate to higher training in morality. And now we have the higher training in meditation, which is the right effort, right mindfulness, and the right concentration. So the right effort is to maintain a wholesome state of mind and to relinquish the unwholesome states of mind. So whenever if good thoughts have arisen, if wholesome thoughts have arisen, keep them, protect them, nurture them, perfect them. If wholesome thoughts have not yet arisen, then have them arise and do likewise. If unwholesome thoughts have arisen, then get rid of them, eradicate them from your mind at that time. If unwholesome thoughts have not yet arisen, then protect your mind from having them arise. These are the four great efforts. Also, you could say there is an element of enthusiasm with this effort. So try your best to maintain a joyful mind when you're practicing, of course, an enthused mind. Always be enthusiastic with the practice. And when you're not, then persevere. Don't be put off by that, okay? Make it sort of help you to be a little bit more inspired to practice when you lose the enthusiasm, okay? So do the opposite to the way you think that you're going to be, okay? That you will sort of follow. Okay, so that's the right effort. Then you have the right mindfulness. Mindfulness in relation to our form or our body, in relation to our mental feelings or sensations, in relation to the mind itself, and then the activities of the mind, including the Dharma, by the way. Sometimes the people give commentary and say that this fourth aspect of the right mindfulness, or the foundations of mindfulness, is the Dharma. And it is the Dharma, but it's also all things, all mental activity. And you could say physical activity because we perceive it with our mind. Okay, so then you have the right concentration, so to keep your mind still, keep your mind clear, so that you can utilize the mind to be able to realize the supreme wisdom, the right understanding, and the right intentions. So they all work together. It's the Eightfold Path. It's called that for a reason, because they all fold into each other. But there is an order as well. And the order is those three high trainings. The morality, the high training morality, includes the right speech, right action, right livelihood. So to regulate our speech, regulate our actions and our livelihood, choose a good livelihood that brings benefit to living beings and yourself, of course. And this leads on to having a very calm mind. A moral mind means that you don't feel bad about anything, don't have these guilty feelings. And then you can practice the meditation better. So absorb your mind with this good concentration, make the effort enthusiastically in the right direction, practice the mindfulness, and then, like I said, develop this concentration, more vast, more vast, more vast. Okay, and that this helps you have a mind that then is conducive to right understanding. And right understanding, of course, includes a good understanding of the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, what it is you need to practice, a good understanding of what the wisdom of hearing is, for instance, a good understanding of what the wisdom of meditation is, or I should say prior to that, the contemplation, then meditation, the good understanding of the purpose of the practice, the goal of our practice, and the methods to be put into practice. And then having a good understanding that you must get off your butt and actually put it into practice. So once again, the purpose, methods, and means, okay? And that is hearing, contemplating, and meditating. Very easy to remember, just like that, isn't it? The enumeration way. There's 3 of this and the 3 of that and 6 of this and the 4 of that, the 8 of that, and 12 of this, etc., etc. Okay, so I think we only have about 2 or 3 minutes to go. Once again, I don't have my clock on here, but that's okay. As long as you know I don't have my clock, and that I think I have longer, but I don't have longer. Okay, so now just for another minute, contemplate what it is you just heard, and then I'll let you know when you need to meditate, when you need to absorb your mind with it. So close your eyes and contemplate what you just heard about the Eightfold Path, the 3 wisdoms, the purpose, the methods, the means, the higher trainings in morality, having been the foundation of the path, morality, and then building through meditation, utilizing the effort, mindfulness, developing the concentration, to have the mind be conducive to right understanding and right intention. And now absorb your mind with this understanding. And when we finish the class, you can actually do that more. And I noticed that my clock says 5:39, so it's probably less than a minute to go. So you can open your eyes now and just continue to practice when we finish the class. I rejoice in your goodness, as always. We will continue this next week, where we will talk about the 4 contemplations, okay? To be able to develop true renunciation, which will then help us to develop the bodhicitta intention more and realize the supreme wisdom more. So study well, practice well, share the Dharma well. Look after your mind, look after your body, and help others if at all possible. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. I'm still going to keep looking at you. Try to give you the good vibes. Daya. Namo Dharmaya. Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Isn't that funny? Other times I've been cut off. This time